Okay, so the objective of today's lecture is you will be introduced to the concept of internet management, or you can say SNMP. And the learning outcome will be you will understand what is the concept of SNMP and the role of agent and manager. So we have already studied what is agent, what is manager in your OSI. So similarly, with respect to SNMP, what will be the role of agent and manager? So initial slides are just the introduction to SNMP. So SNMP management is also referred to as internet management. And one of the most widely used NMS is your SNMP. So SNMP again uses the concept of manager and agent. Okay, so who is the manager? The manager is usually a host. It controls and monitors a set of agents, usually routers or servers. So nothing big difference between your OSI. OSI also had manager and agent. And here also similar concept of manager and agent will be there. So a diagram to explain the SNMP concept. So I have the host, or you can call it as the manager. So the manager is communicating between the agents. So the agents can be the server or the routers. Okay, so there can be more than one manager. There can be more than one agent in my system. Okay, so a management station called a manager, it is the host. Okay, so the manager is the host. Please note down somewhere. It runs the SNMP client program. Usually in CCN, we don't have manager and the agent. We have client and server. So you feel the someone who is more powerful or has more authority or hold in the management, he is the server. And the one who is taking the help of the server is the client. Here, the concept is different. A management station called a manager, it is the host. It runs the SNMP client program. Like if you are told manager agent को client server से compare करो, कौन किसका काम कर रहा है? So your manager is the SNMP. It runs the client program. And a managed station called as an agent, either a router or a host, that runs the SNMP server program. Okay, so that is how you can say or compare manager and agent with a client and a server. I hope this concept is clear. Now continuing with the functions of agent and managers, what the agent does is the agent keeps the performance information in a database. The manager has access to the values in the database. For example, I have a router, it stores appropriate variables, the number of packets received and forwarded. So I have a router, so it stores how many packets are forwarded and or how many packets are received. Okay, so it is just storing it. Or it might prepare a table and all that he can keep the data ready. So what the manager will do is the manager can fetch and compare the values of these two variables to see if the router is congested or not. Okay, so see the router is just storing. He is not doing anything, but the router is my agent. Okay, what the manager will do, he will take that data, he will analyze that data, and then he will decide कि हाँ ये congested है या नहीं. If he feels that if the router is congested, he might give some decision or pass on some decision to the router that okay, bifurcate the traffic from some other way and so on. So the agent, or you can say the router, is not actually involved in the management decision. So here the more power lies with the manager that we have already seen during the OSI. So same thing happens over here. The manager can also make the router perform certain action, as that I was telling. He can route the traffic to some other switch and all. So, but the manager has to give that instruction to the router. For example, a router periodically checks the value of a reboot counter to see when it should reboot itself. It reboots itself, for example, if the value of the counter is 0. The manager can use this feature to reboot the agent remotely at any time. देखो राउटर क्या करता है जब काउंटर 0 हो जा रहा है then he is able to reboot himself. But what the manager can do is at any point of time, whatever be the value of counter, he can reboot the value. It simply sends a packet to force a value 0 in the counter. So the manager can reboot the counter by just sending a message or set the value of the counter to be 0. Okay, so the manager has more rights. Now, continuing with the functions of agent and manager, अब तक लग रहा था कि manager is only doing everything, the agent is not participating in the management process. Okay, but here we have again given a provision to the agent to contribute to the management process. So if you remember alarm or notification, so the agent can raise an alarm. Okay, that only one message, alarm message, was generated by the agent and the manager was receiving that alarm. So here in OSI, देखो, alarm is a general word. In OSI, we were using the word notification. Okay, the agent raises a notification. Here, in case of SNMP, please don't use notification. The word is called as trap. Okay, so what is a trap? It is an alarm. Okay, it is an unsolicited message. Remember this word I was using. It's an unsolicited message. मतलब किसी ने मुझसे मांगा नहीं, but I am sending the data on my own because I want to tell कि हाँ रे बाबा ऐसा कुछ तो हुआ है. So the server program running on the agent can check the environment, and if he notices something unusual, he can send a warning message or alarm message. So that is called as trap. Many times during the Viva, when the examiner asks what is a trap message, तो वो student उसका dictionary meaning trap मतलब कुछ फंसाना या ऐसे कुछ capture करना something, nothing like that. Okay, so don't go with a dictionary meaning. So trap is a warning message, or you can say alarm message, okay, which is generated by the agent, and that message goes to the manager. Okay. So the management with SNMP is based on 3 basic ideas. So how or what is actually SNMP? A manager checks an agent by requesting information that reflects the behavior of the agent. Then the manager forces an agent to perform a task by resetting values in the agent database. Okay, so agent data मांग रहा है. Okay. Then once the manager data मांग रहा है, agent जब data दे रहा है, what the manager can take some decision and he can make the agent perform some task. And then the third thing is to involve the agent in the management process. There is a warning message, or you can say the trap message. Okay, so if there is an unusual situation and the manager has not asked the data, but he needs to know, he needs to be aware of the situation, then he can use this trap message. So this is the simple idea actually of your SNMP. Now let us see how this simple idea moves till version 3. Okay, so how is or the internet management works? Okay, so what are the management components? Now to do the management task, SNMP, see, it's a protocol, simple network management protocol. Okay, so it alone cannot work. Okay, so it takes the help of another 2 protocols, which is called as your SMI and MIB. You should be knowing the full form. Your SMI is the structure of the management information and your management information base. So if I want to say management of internet, so how the management of internet is done, it is actually not done using only SNMP. It is done using SNMP along with your SMI and MIB. Okay, now अभी तुम लोग सोचोगे ये क्या है, किस चीज की जरूरत है. Now what is SNMP, what is SMI, and what is MIB? So in your Forozen, TCP/IP Forozen, as I have said, the second book is also important for SNMP. So all these points I have taken from that. It's not there in money, it is there in Forozen. Okay, so the companion of network management on the internet. So as the last slide has said, management of internet is done using 3 things: SNMP, SMI, or MIB. Now please note it somewhere. What is SNMP, what is SMI, and what is MIB? So what is SNMP doing is, SNMP defines the format of the packets exchanged between a manager and an agent. It reads and changes the status of object, that is the values of variable in SNMP packets. Okay, so SNMP, what it does, it defines the format of packet exchange between a manager and an agent. Okay, so there is a way in which the packet should go, the management related data of that packet should go. And then the SNMP can read and change the status of the object. Like suppose the manager wants to know the status of the counter. Okay, so what he will say, send the packet, OSI se agar yaad hai, get. Okay, so get request. So he will get the value. Similarly, he will set the value. Okay, so using the set command, he can set the value of the counter. Okay, so it reads as well as it can change the status of the object. That is, object means the values of the variable in the SNMP packet. Now, what is SMI doing? Okay, so please remember all these things, write it down somewhere. Oh, it is there in my slides, but still from your viewpoint, because I'll so what is SMI? So SMI is it defines the general rules for naming the object, defining the object type, including the range and length, and showing how to encode objects and values. I hope this sentence will make the concept of SMI clear. And remember, this is not there in money. Money, it's totally on a different line and on a higher level. And you don't find all these colorful images also in money. Okay, it's all in black and white. So this I have, or we were told during the orientation 6 years back, that included from the TCP IP 400. Okay, so at least the introduction part of SNMP becomes clear. Otherwise, you don't know what actually you are doing. Okay, so I have the objects. Okay, the agents are handling the objects. Okay, now what name should I give? Randomly, I cannot give names. Okay, so the SMI, it defines the general rule for naming the object. Okay, suppose a counter, how that counter I should name. Remember, we had given a tag, the value, we had done the ASN1 encoding. Okay, so what is the name? How do I define? It will be some textual definition of the object. Then the range and length of the object. If I say a counter, what should be the size of the counter? I need to specify. Okay, and showing how to encode the objects and the value. Yes, I simply cannot include any object, एक नाम दे दिया, उसका range दे दिया. Because see, finally what I am going to send the information related to the object or ask the information related to the object if I am a manager. Okay, so I should know the encoding scheme. So if I say that ASN1 encoding, which we have already studied, so it falls under your SMI. What is SMI? Can anybody tell full form? What is SMI? Yes, what is SMI?
Structure of management information.
Structure of management information. Who was that? Who gave that answer?
Abhiram.
Okay, very good, Abhiram. Anyways, you are the topper also of the class, so I'm very happy. Okay, so structure of management information. Now, what information? It is, if I'm naming the object, it is defining. SMI is handling that. The definition, the range, length, and how to encode the object and the value, that is defined by SMI. Next comes your MIB. Okay, so what is MIB doing? MIB is a, just a moment. Actually, I'm having problem here with my system today. Okay, so what is MIB doing is management information. Just a moment, my window has closed.